Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Hunter, if you couldn't tell by the channel description down below. Today, as you can see, I'm on a location. We're doing some business headshots, business portraits, just some real quick stuff for a young professionals group here in the town that I'm in. I'm going to talk a little bit about the setup I have, how it works with my Nikon Z system, and some benefits of using lights like this. So let's get into the video. Alright, so the start of a good wireless system is going to be a good trigger. You want a trigger that works well with your camera, whether you want to do manual setups or a TTL setup. For my setup, it's all Godox stuff, which if you didn't know, Godox and Flashpoint are basically the same. Flashpoint's rebranded and sold through Adorama. Not sponsored, but I have bought quite a bit of the Flashpoint stuff from Adorama. This trigger is an R2 Pro 2, which is actually just Flashpoint. Godox doesn't have one exactly like this that's branded with their stuff. I'm not going to go on the full like how to use it and how to set it up, except to tell you that it is super simple to set up. All of this stuff just works. There's depending on the light, you have to tell it that you want to control it wirelessly. Setting channel, so we've got channel 1 on there, which is kind of hard to see. I got my wide angle lens on here. So you've got channel 1, and then you're just filling in, which light or light group you want. So I can set multiple lights on A, B, C, or D. Just a 3-light setup, I've just got A, B, C, and D. This trigger works exceptionally well. If I want to adjust anything, I can hit B, change the mode to what I want to go as, turn it off, turn it on, and then just simply adjust my settings there to whatever I want them to be. The one issue I've had with this trigger and my Z5 specifically, right now I've got it on my Z50 just because I'm recording on my Z5. In-body image stabilization is great when I'm trying to handhold this, but I've had some connectivity issues with the Z5. So every once in a while I have to disconnect it, reconnect it, because the Z5 won't sense that it's there anymore, and so it won't work correctly. The screen will go dark, especially in a studio setting like this where my lights are set up for I don't want any ambient room light. So if you just go off the metering off the camera, it's going to be completely black. You want the camera to not adjust for live view settings, I guess is probably the proper way Nikon's worded it. So when I put that trigger on there, the camera automatically says, all right, you got a flash trigger on here. I'm going to ignore your camera settings and just show you what you should be seeing through the lens as if it were like a DSLR, where you're looking through that mirror as opposed to looking through an electronic deal. So it's great at that when it works, but I've actually had kind of been frustrating this morning because we're doing like 10-minute sessions, and about once in that 10-minute session for the 2 people we've done so far, I've had to pull that trigger off, put it back on to where the camera views it again. I am going to shoot some with the Z50 today just to kind of compare between the 2 cameras, but I'm interested to see if I have that issue with connectivity on the camera as well. So also, this is the second trigger I've had. I had to send my first trigger off for a warranty repair. There is a small pin. I'll show you how easy it is. Maybe if I can do this one-handed. Oh, I wasn't connected. There's a small pin in this trigger right at the front there that comes out when you lock it into place, and that pin actually stuck all the way out. So it was stuck on top of my Z5 for about a week. I wasn't really using it, but eventually I had to just kind of mess with it until I could get that pin to retract back in. This mechanism, the sliding mechanism here, actually broke. Adorama was great. I emailed them, they're like, really sorry, send it back in. I had this back to me within about a week and a half, and this is a brand new one. It's not refurbished one. So it's not the one that I had. They just sent me a brand new one. They said it is kind of a known issue. They said I could just pull that pin out with pliers, and probably if it fails again, I will pull it out. I had the same connectivity on my Z5 issue with my last trigger, so I was hoping a new trigger would also solve that issue since I had to send it in for warranty anyways, but I'm having the same issue with it. Like I said, I'm going to try it on the Z50 here and see how that works. My primary lens I'm using for this is the 85-1.8. On the Z50, I might go to the 40 f2. I'm shooting it at f5. I think that lens will be plenty sharp enough. Is it going to be as sharp as the 85? No, probably not, but For most people's business headshots, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Full setup studio like this. So we've talked a lot about that already. I will show I've got a Godox V1. Love this camera, or love this flash for on-camera work. It works great off-camera as well. Setup is a little bit more difficult than the other flashes that I have, just because it's got a more complicated menu system because it does more things. So the other speed light I have is, and I can't ever remember what this is called. This is Flashpoint Zoom Lithium Ion R2. This is not a TTL speed light. It's an incredibly cheap speed light, but it's got plenty of power. It works really well in a Bowens adapter like this. And it's just a super simple manual flash. So you turn it on, that's what the back of it looks like. You can see I got group B, channel 1, little wireless is on. And again, depending on what flash you buy, you have to look at a manual, figure out how to turn the wireless on. But as soon as you turn this stuff on, it generally connects right away with the trigger. The only thing I don't like about the V1 is that it does not fit in this Bowens adapter. And I forgot, all flashes come with a little cold shoe foot that you can stick onto a tripod adapter, or stick onto a tripod threads. Obviously then it's harder to use any sort of light modifier, and I'll get to my light modifiers. But this little guy is great for off-camera flash work where you just can set it up as manual. You want the same thing every time, like in a studio setting like this. Incredibly cheap. These are, I got this used for less than $200. The V1's quite a bit more expensive, but it's great. It's got this round head that you can attach different magnetic adapters to, which I've got also on this 8200. I think this is my regular Godox. Yeah, this is my Godox 8200, and I've got a round head for it. And so these barn doors just magnetically attach. Super handy, except when one falls off like that. I gotta put that back on. So the other two lights that I have, I've got the 8200, and then that light over there I'll get to is the Pro version. I believe it is the Flashpoint version. But all of these lights have different heads. So I've got the round head on there. They come with a speed light, kind of rectangle style head, and then this flash bulb style. I ended up going with the round head because I wanted to use those barn doors as a hair light. But I've got this one and my other light, that guy over there. Just kind of trying them out. I'm not knowledgeable enough on flashes to know the difference as far as what like advantages and disadvantages would be using this head over a speedlight style head or the round style. Like I said, I like this. It's got magnetic, different things. You can put different colored gels on there, small light modifiers. And again, I've got it in a Bowens mount for just ease of use, basically. So this is a big Godox octagon softbox. As you can tell, it gets pretty wrinkly because it collapses like an umbrella. So the setup is really easy. You can see it's just an umbrella that mounts in there. It doesn't look the greatest because it is wrinkly. I suppose if you were super picky about that kind of stuff, you could change that. I'm not going to unmount this guy, but it's going to be hard to see. This is the Pro version of the AD200. And I think this is the Flashpoint version. Main difference is the back has a little bit different look to it. I don't know that there's a huge difference between them besides that. They use the same kinds of batteries. So I only have one battery for each of these things, and that one battery lasts a very long time. I've kind of stretched it out. So I did a wedding with these where I had each one of my 8200s set up in like a balcony area above. It was a gym, an old gym that had a balcony and seating above the gym floor, and then the gym floor was the dance floor. So having these up high, I think I used TTL metering with that, with my trigger. Just having those and a high light modifier lit up the dance floor super well. You can kind of work around and either with stationary lights up high like that, I can work on the same side of them, the light's coming down above me, or I can work off to the side to where the light's coming down more of a side angle on people and get more of a side light. And then obviously I had one on each side. So you can kind of use it different ways based on your positioning. Wedding photographers, if you're not using off-camera lighting, especially for receptions, man, you're really missing out. It really takes those boring, dark, not usually that good looking reception photos and really gives it some pop and emphasis, depending on how you use the light. The other thing that these are good for, being these are all battery powered, we can take them outside, we can use them on different locations. It's a super easy setup. If you're taking pictures at sunset, I've gotten by with just a single 200, but you can put them together, use that 400 watt head, really get some great light on your, whether it's couple or even singles pictures, senior pictures, stuff like that. Anything you want to do at sunset or sunrise. I got some beautiful sunrise pictures all working here, where just having some off-camera lighting, put some light on your subject, really allows you to pull in the background colors and really actually use that sunset, as opposed to having to, crank it one way or another, whether you're exposing for the background and cranking up the shadows or doing whatever you're doing if you don't have that on-camera lighting. But we'll come back to our studio space, our on-location studio space. So if you kind of notice the background, this is a courtroom. The police department was nice enough to let us use this space. Some of the members of the department are part of the young professionals group in this area. So they've allowed me to come use this space set up here. It's a good space in the town that lots of people can come to. Easy access to get in here, like I said, we're doing 10-minute portraits today and being done with it. So here's my setup. So this octagon softbox is going to be a little bit more directional light, and I will show the pictures what it looks like as we're doing it. But this is going to give you a little bit more of a directional light coming off here. I'm putting this really pretty close to my subjects. I'm about this far. I'm having them stand about this far, which is going to be hard to, I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but only really a couple of feet off of this, because the closer you are, the softer that light's going to wrap around, and it allows me to darken this down a little bit darker. So we've got kind of a textured pattern here. I haven't had anybody use it today, but I've got the backside is white. That's why it's set up here in the middle. I've used this backside before if you just want a plain white background. So putting my subjects closer to the lights and farther from the backdrop gives me more light on the subject and less light on the backdrop. So I can make that light gray darken down quite a bit to where it looks like a darker gray. And you'll see that in the images as I put them there. So this is a good directional main key light for your portrait. This guy, I love this for wedding receptions. I know I said I was going to talk about studio stuff. I'm going to go back. It's a glow, I think it's like a 24-inch, what do they call it? Like a lantern ball or something like that. As you can see, it throws light everywhere. So it's throwing light all the way around here in all directions, as opposed to where that is just going to be throwing it in one direction. This is throwing light everywhere. I have it here as a fill light, so my main key light, so most times they're kind of facing like this. My main key light's hitting the face here. We're lighting up this side of the face, kind of getting that Rembrandt little triangle over here, giving some texture and depth to the face. This octoball, I have it on low power. I've got that speed light in it as opposed to the bigger 200 watt flash. So it's just giving a little bit of fill light. It's just making it to where the shadows aren't real harsh, because these are business portraits. We're not doing crazy things with lighting. We're just a nice, even, visually pleasing light on the face. We want it fairly soft with not a lot of deep or dark shadows. The light behind me, I mostly put this here. Now, I've got the 200 watt turned way down because I don't have any light modifiers. That's just, it's got a little bit of texture there, so it's not quite as bare bulb. The barn doors, I actually push this back a little bit more closer to the backdrop. The barn doors are just so I don't have a lot of extra light being thrown onto the backdrop or anywhere else. It's kind of, again, focusing it down onto my person, and that's just a hair light. So again, you'll see in the pictures, I want to give some light to the backside of the head, to the shoulders, because that's what separates it from that backdrop. If you don't have any light that's coming in from behind them, a lot of times all your light coming from the front just kind of dissipates and you kind of almost fade off into the backdrop. But giving some light to the back of them really gives some separation between them and the backdrop. That's why we use a hair light. Again, it's pretty low power. I don't have that thing cranked up because it looks weird when it's super bright. You get a lot of light fall off on the shoulders and on the back side of the face and the ear. The backdrop I'm using is just a vinyl. I might have gotten this off of Etsy because it was fairly cheap. Just kind of a basic texture. It gives you a little bit of something in the background, so it's not a plain color. I have used fabric backgrounds in the past. They're a little duller. I was worried about this being shiny. It's not really shiny, as long as you're diligent about where your light's going. You're not throwing too much light at it. But I highly recommend the vinyl. You could use paper. We'll probably end up getting a gray, like a dark gray paper one at some point, but I hate using the fabric one. Also, we bought it huge. It's like a 10 by 12 in case you want to do group pictures or something. It's just always super wrinkly. It's like a pain to do anything with. It's just massive, and you got to get a steamer out and steam it. Not fun to deal with. So highly recommend the vinyl, especially for doing headshots like this. So most of the setup I actually bought for doing school pictures. This backdrop, a little lighter, but kind of the classic school picture look. Just a little bit of something in the background, not too distracting. Works well for the business headshots. I've done business headshots on it before today, and then doing them today as well. But this is a school picture setup. Sometimes some of the cheaper ones now, I see them using just a light, but I use a 3-light setup in this exact same configuration. We've got a key light, your main light, a fill light, and then a hair light in the back. Does all the same things. Doesn't matter if your subject's 4, 16, or 45. It does the same thing for everybody. You obviously use a little bit different poses depending on what the age is, but these are just a 3-light setup for business portraits like this. Super basic setup, super easy to do. An easy way, one, to make some extra money when you're not doing weddings. We're in the off season. It's winter time. And 2, to be able to get out and meet people. I love doing this because I get to meet a lot of the business professionals in our community, talk to them, get a chat with them a little bit. Hey, here's a business card. If you need anything, give me a call. They get to meet me. They get, a little bit of personal interaction with me. When I sent them the pictures last time, everybody was super satisfied with them. They turned out fantastic, way better than most, company. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but a lot of companies will do them cheaply. They'll have a cheap company come in and do them, or, it's like they have a real small setup in a closet with a phone or an old camera or something. This is a high quality setup. We're getting out high quality images to them, and when they get them, they look great, and then they're excited about them, and they're more likely to reach out to you because they're like, oh, I know this photographer. Like, I've seen his work and he's done good work. So it's a good way to kind of get your foot in the door with some other businesses, some other professionals in the area. So we've kind of talked about 6 different things in this video. If you have questions about any of them, leave a question down below. You want me to go a little bit more in depth on the studio lights? This isn't like an in-depth review. This is just, hey, this is how I use them. This is what I use them for. Some sample images of what they look like. You want me to talk a little bit more about using them outdoors? Maybe we can do an outdoor session, and I'll do some video on one of my outdoor sessions. But this, it's kind of an overview of the Godox Flashpoint lights on the Nikon Z series system, as well as how to do a simple 3-light setup. Like I said, if you have any questions, ask down below. Thank you all for the subscriptions and comments, and look forward to doing some more videos for you. Take care. So I tried the RS Pro 2 with my Z50, also around the 40 1.2 for the portraits. It was giving me the exact same problems that this was on the Z5. So I don't know. I may contact Adorama and see if this is a known problem or if there's a software update. So this is software updatable. This one's brand new, so I wouldn't think it would need a software update, but maybe there's a software update that it needs. But it is being very finicky to connect with my camera. Don't know if I'll be able to recreate it. So with the live view preview, as soon as I connect this flash, yep, so it shows this flash icon, it brightens up the screen to show a real preview. I'm gonna move it around a little bit. Oop, I turned it off, that was me. But it acts like it's been turned off. And now I'm not gonna be able to get it to recreate it, but you can see flashes are going off behind me. I don't know. Yeah, I can't get it to recreate it, but it basically acts like it's been turned off. Like that. So, and the frustrating part is I can't just like reconnect it. I've got to take it off, put it back on, and then it senses it again. You see the little flash icon down there, and it's ready to go. And I'm not like holding it by this. I'm just holding the camera with one hand like this most of the time. I have a support. You know, I'll be holding the lens as support, but I'm not hitting or touching that top piece, and it just shuts off routinely. And it's fully locked in. So I don't know, not sure what the issue is with that. That is the one complaint I have about this system. Besides that, it works great, but there is that one issue, and now it's done that on both my Z5 and the Z50. So just a heads up if you're thinking about this system. Don't know if one of the older ones, because there's an RS Pro, I may end up getting an RS Pro, seeing if it works better than the 2, or just seeing if there's a software update for it. But I'll try to update in the comments if there's any updates on my trigger issue.